Legislator, welcome.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
This story, if I have it right, if I didn't live here, I would say that can't be true. But is Albany spending $1 million to revitalize a building that they're then going to sell for maybe $200,000? Is that the crux of what's happening here?
Amazingly, your eyes do not deceive you. Now, just to be clear, it's not the city of Albany. It is the Albany County Land Bank through a federal block grant. But as a legislature, we're tasked with both approving the land grant's acceptance of this block grant, which we did some time ago, and then also approving through resolution the use of the funds.
This is, on 2nd Ave? I believe it's 52nd Ave. This, what I would term it as a just sort of nondescript brick building on a corner. Fine if you want to take it on and you want to spruce it up and make it look nice. That's fine. Except I keep looking at this deal and I think, would this ever happen in a private sector scenario?
Well, it absolutely would not. And the point that myself and some other legislators were trying to make in Florida debate was that if we're lucky enough as a county or as a land bank, whichever, to receive $1 million in federal funding, we should take that opportunity and use it to the fullest possible extent. Many legislators spoke about the need to improve the South End to sort of reinvigorate, attract homeowner investment. And all those are great goals, and I think everybody in the legislature stands behind that. But by improving simply one home, that certainly isn't a rising tide that will raise all boats. And, in my mind and many others, if you had $1 million and you put 100,000 into 10 homes or 50,000 into 20 in a neighborhood, you could get a lot farther. And I think our role as legislators in any legislative body, the first rule is we're the ones who handle the purse strings, right? We help make financial decisions, and our fiduciary responsibility to taxpayers is to use that money wisely, effectively, and prudently. And I don't think we've done that here. And many will make the argument that it's federal funds, but I argue if you look at your paycheck, what's the biggest deduction from your paycheck? It's your federal taxes. So it's still our money, maybe a big collective hour, and it is our responsibility to use it wisely.
I don't care whose money it is. If you're spending $1 million, look, we've all seen the show Flip or Flop, and the thing with that is you invest in the house and then you hope your improvements are going to make the value more than what you put into it, and you make a little something out of it. If you know going in, you're going to use $1 million that you're then going to turn over and sell for $200,000, no one would do it. And I feel like at this point, Todd, why don't we just say, tell you what, we'll give the land bank $175,000. We'll pay the $50,000 to knock down the building. I still got over $700,000 that I can play with. Why don't we just do that?
Well, absolutely. And you see this all the time in the city of Albany where the powers that be will make a decision to tear a building down. It's an expensive process. And without getting into the weeds on that, this could certainly be the option here if that were the case. But really, it's much easier than that, in my view. The land bank, I don't think necessarily should be in the rebuilding business. But even if they were, and that's certainly their purview as an organization, smaller structural and exterior revitalization funding for their properties would go a lot farther. I mean, let's face it, when you any of us hardworking taxpayers go to spend what money we have left after all those taxes on a home or even as an investment property, let's say, what are we looking for? We're looking for clean neighborhoods, a great place to raise your kids, good schools, but we also look at the physical property. And when we get there, the first thing people look at is the exterior. I think, we can all agree many homeowners, many investors buying a two-family or something like that. Now, bear in mind, this is a single-family home, everybody. But a single-family home buyer, they're probably willing to paint walls, rip up carpet, maybe sheetrock some walls. They probably don't want to do brickwork. They don't want to do structural work. They don't want to do roofs because that's hard to do, right? Especially in our climate. So if we were to improve these properties so that visually they look great, when you walk down the street, everybody in the neighborhood would benefit. And so I think that the point that many of us were trying to make was we need a sustainable approach to neighborhood revitalization. At this rate, if you have 800 vacant buildings in the city of Albany and you're going to spend $1 million on each one, you need almost $1 billion to revitalize residential neighborhoods in the city of Albany. And I don't think anybody believes that the federal government and the taxpayer is going to come and drop $1 billion on the city of Albany or the county of Albany to help us do that.
In defense of the Albany County Legislature, though, it's not like they have somebody in their body that does this for a living. Oh, wait, you do, Todd, and you've been screaming at them. This is cockamamie, and yet it doesn't. This is why it's such the quintessential Albany story. Yeah, that's nice. We heard from you. We're going to go ahead anyway. And everybody knows what a ridiculous, stupid idea this is, and yet it's happening.
Well, we do this all the time. And I think part of that is in government, we lack diversity of perspective. Government is mostly elected officials are mostly from government. And people who are working in the government and a lot of the associated NGO type of things, one thing that those folks don't have mostly, and I shouldn't say this because not everybody is in the same mold, but is the experience of consequences of spending money. So if we're in the private sector as employees or salespersons, or we're in the private sector as small business folks like I am, our financial decisions have and can have a tremendous positive or negative impact on our family and its success and its future. And so I think part of the financial decision-making that goes on at all levels of government, certainly Albany County Legislature is not alone in this, is that we don't really look at it as, are we being careful with our money? I think we look at it more ideologically. Hey, is this a great idea to spend this money? If it is, let's spend it. And I think that was part of the debate. Is some people were really stuck on the fact that the South End needs revitalization, so we should spend the money even if it isn't the greatest use of the funds. And my distinction and a couple other people's distinction was we want to revitalize the South End, but let's spend the money in an effective manner that's a sustainable model so that the land bank or other organizations involved in doing this good work can continue to do so and also get results. Because in government, Doug, we don't focus on results. We don't focus on metrics. We don't get decision-making that is relying on whether or not programs are highly effective or not. And I think that can be our failing, and that's why diversity of perspective in government is important.
Todd Drake, Albany County Legislator, I appreciate you coming on, explaining this. I tell your colleagues in that body that when I think of the Albany County Legislature, at least for the short run here, the first thing that's going to come to my mind is this deal, because it is so absurd and so ridiculous. And the idea that we're just plodding along, this does not speak well of your body, as you well know.
I do well know. It is embarrassing in a certain sense. And this is, by the way, really just a tip of the iceberg with government spending.
Oh, great.
And, we really just... We have to do our best to be fiduciaries of people's hard-earned money, their hard-earned tax dollars, as well as trying to provide the best outcomes for Albany County constituents of all different neighborhoods and districts. And I don't know that we've done that here, and I think we need to keep that, squarely in focus on future votes, and I'm urging other legislators to start thinking about it that way.
Someone's going to end up with a really nice one-family house that they paid $200,000 for, and it's going to be spruced up with $1 million of our money. Isn't that lovely? Todd Drake,
it is lovely.
Really appreciate the time this morning. Next time one of these comes up, get to me quicker. Maybe we could try to stop this stupid thing.
Well, thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Albany County Legislator Todd. That is just so infuriating. It's Doug. You're listening to WGY Mornings.